let's just sew whatever. Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. I forgot to film the intro, but we're gonna use this. This is a bag we're making. It is the Sarah backpack with the convertible backpack strap option. I hand painted the leather. I had so much fun making this, and I hope you will enjoy sewing it with me. There is also a standard backpack version that will be released. All right, we're gonna get started on, I don't have my chair support on the chair right now, and I sat way further back than I thought I would. Okay, we're gonna start with our strap. I am not doing the two-toned crossbody strap on this one, just because it's leather, and it would have been a little more difficult to cut out an even smaller piece. And I didn't want to use the green with it, so I'm just going with a single layer, single fold down the center. So I'm going to do 3/8 of an inch first, just right up against that side seam. Make sure your stitch length for this is about a 5. And then I'm going across to do the same thing, 3/8 of an inch. And I contemplated doing 4 rows of stitching, and I think I still will, because I folded at the 3/8 line on one side, which is okay, so I'm not quite catching everything that I'd like to. Leaving? Okay. So now I'm doing 1/4 of an inch. You could do an 1/8. The thread color I'm using is almost like a perfect match. I love it. Woo! Sorry. My light is so old that it kind of, the table shakes and the light bulb migrates a little. Alrighty. Just gonna cut this straight across. Oh yeah, I love the way that looks on this side of the strap. So I am using a wide mouth slider. This is a little excessive, but I think the leather will kind of hold itself against. So I've got the wrong side facing up. I've wrapped it around my slider. I could do a single, but I did double just to add a little more thickness. And then I'm doing 2 rows of stitching. I'm using fairly thin leathers, so I know my 1181 isn't going to have any issues. All right, and then with the wrong side facing up, I'm gonna slide my snap hook over and then go up and over the slider. And then wrong side face up again. Wrap your slider around. And again, you can decide to do double fold or single fold. And then I'm going to do a box stitch at 1/8 of an inch. And then you can do X's through that if you'd like. I think we'll be okay. And there's our strap. Done. It's a really nice weight. And there is the strap. So next we're going to piece together the exterior back panel, I think, and then we can work on the front. So really quick, I'm gonna just lay out all my panels. This is my back. This is my back. And this will be my back top. So these 3 pieces become my back panel. And you can start piecing them however you want to together. You can start with the bottom, you can start with the top. I am clipping the sides together so they don't shift, and then adding a couple clips. This is going to be a 3/8 inch seam allowance. You just make sure you're using a seam guide or trace it out so that your panels end up the correct size. Okay. And now you get to decide how to top stitch it. If you have a domestic, I would definitely recommend laying this open to top stitch. And then you'll be top stitching on both. The only little snafu that you're gonna run into is you can't do this step when you add your zipper pocket, so it looks a little strange. I am gonna do that. With this leather, I don't want my side seams to be too thick. So I'm just gonna kind of finger press that. You cannot iron leather, so keep that in mind. And then we'll just get, oh yeah, looks so good. And then we're going 1/8 of an inch from that seam and just making sure you press everything open. And I am gonna stitch across and then come back. Alrighty. And now we're going to add the exterior bottom, so make sure you keep in mind which one goes where. So this is my top, that's my middle, and this is my bottom. I am kind of piecing it a little bit differently than I did in the instructions, but it's going to end up being the same. So however you want to do it. It's still a 3/8 inch seam allowance. And then just go slow, making sure your edges stay lined up and try not to pull or stretch your fabric. Okay. And then similarly, we're going to press this open. If you need to tape it open, you can. I just worry about gumming up your needle, things like that. I don't know why. I'm gonna start on the green again. And then just make sure you can guide your hand underneath to make sure that seam's sitting nice and flat. Okay. My top stitching got off by quite a bit, but I don't mind. It's the back. Okay, and then we're just gonna double check the measurement. It's good. And that is our back panel set up. We do have hidden strap connectors, and our strap connectors we're gonna be adding later. So I'm gonna mark my center for now. And this is where the backpack flap is going to attach. And we'll set that aside. I'm a little tempted to just skip ahead to doing my flap. I really want to see it done, but that's okay. So we're gonna take one of our 16-inch zippers. Ooh, I cut that like exact. Which is good. You do want it to be exact, but I just like grabbed a piece and cut it. We're gonna need our 2 long lining pieces. Get out of the trash. Oh, I'm so sorry. And we're gonna need our zipper tabs and 2 zipper pulls. All right. So we're gonna start by connecting the top and the exterior middle, and you want it so that your print is facing down. So you can lay it right side up and then flip it wrong side up. And it's that 3/8 inch seam allowance. And same, whatever stitching you selected, make sure you just stay consistent with that as far as pressing it open or pressing it to one direction. Oh my gosh, I'm dying, it's so cute. I got distracted by how pretty the flowers look that I messed up my top stitch. It's okay. I went from like 1/8 of an inch to 1/4 of an inch. Just followed the edge of the foot. That's okay. Not this time. This is a good test to if the paint is gonna hold up well. Part of me is like, I can finish this bag in 30 minutes before I have to leave. No, you can't. So pretty. All right. So what we're gonna do with our zipper tabs is we're gonna measure and mark 1 inch from each edge. Now that should be center, but there's wiggle room, so it's not a big deal. And then for the zipper, we're gonna measure 8 inches and make a line down that center. All right, grab some tape. For one of our zipper tabs, we're going to be folding the long raw edges into the center. Well, the short raw edges actually. Just like that. And this becomes our center zipper tab. I'm going to tape it down, and it should be 1 inch wide by 1 1/4 tall. And we're just going to line up our center on the zipper. Awesome. Then you can sew top to side, bottom and side, and then you're hiding your back stitching, and you've got that whole thing nice and secure. Voila. Okay. Now for these other two, we're gonna fold to meet that 1 inch mark. All right. So we're basically just folding it over by 1/2 inch. And there's a little bit of wiggle room for this, so if you fold it too much or something, not a big deal. And you don't have to use tape, but I'm going to use tape to attach this. Oh, add your zipper pulls. Add your zipper pulls. So you're going to have them zip in to the center all the way, and just make sure there's no weird bubble. Perfect. All right, and then this is going to go on the end here. You're going to line it up exactly to the edge of your zipper tape, and you want to just verify again that your zipper measures 16 inches. Yes, okay. Top stitch this on. You can do all 4 sides or just the one, totally up to you. But I do recommend trimming your extra zipper tape on the back by about 1/2 inch so that it's not in your seam allowance, causing bulk. And then definitely use a lighter. Okay, perfect. And now I'm going to use some double-sided tape along this top edge, just 1/8 inch wide. Don't use anything more than that. And I'll find my center here at the top, or measure with your 8-inch ruler. then the center of your zipper goes there, and then just gently press in place. Try not to pull too much on anything. Just press. Everything should line up. And then we're going to put right sides together with one of our zipper pocket lining pieces. And I do like to use tape for that as well. So the wrong side should be facing up. Our zipper should be face down. Wrong side of our lining. So right sides together. And then this is as close to a 3/8 inch seam allowance as you can get, but try really hard. Otherwise you're gonna have to trim off the top of your bag. So I'm getting close to my pulls. I'm gonna leave my needle down and unzip. Using tape is going to help really keep everything together. As you unzip, make sure you readjust your zipper pull and then zip it back up as soon as you're able, and then you won't have any weird zipper issues. Okay. Press this open. Zip those back up. So I've got my lining pressed down really well. Pull down the exterior. And just make sure you're pulling those layers nice and tight. Press your lining down, pull your exterior away. Perfect. And then we're gonna grab our other lining piece. This is my right side, that's my wrong side, and we want right sides together. So I'm going to keep right side face up, tape, center that, press it in place. All right, and then we're going to grab our remaining top, and I'm going to tape this down also. Make this bottom. And that tape just helps make sure nothing shifts. I cannot press open this seam to top stitch, so that's why I'm able to tape this one down versus the others. Make sure your pulls are face down. And then slowly press into the top edge of your bag. And then 3/8 of an inch again. I'm getting close to my pull, so I'm going to unzip and continue. Unzip. Now I have my pulls zipping in, but if you want to, you can have your pulls zipping out. I like them zipping in because then they're hidden under the flap, which is kind of fun. All right, and now for this one, like I said, you can't open that seam. You can only press it down and top stitch against the top. So if you are worried about bulk, you can kind of trim this away. Just make sure you're not compromising any of your stitches. Your lining should still be face down. Perfect. Okay, we can zip that back up, make sure everything sits pretty. All right, and now lift your exterior fabric out of the way. And I'm gonna measure 1 inch up. Our pieces are not even, but that's okay. I don't want them to be. And then I'm gonna measure 8 inches down the center as well. Folding our exterior up and out of the way as much as possible. All right, so we're going to stitch I'll find you later. We're gonna stitch across the bottom first at that 1 inch line. This is gonna close off our pocket. We are kind of separating the bulk at the bottom. It's not one line. It kind of descends a little bit because you have one layer and then a break and then one layer. And then up against that mark we made down the center, I'm gonna back stitch at the bottom. I'm at about 1/8 of an inch away from the line. Okay, and then we're going to come down carefully. I got as close to the top as I could, and then I came back down. So there's a teeny tiny little gap. If you want to, you could rivet through just your lining pieces right here. But if you check from the pocket here, there's just barely your finger can get through. Not a big deal. Because we are making the backpack version, we're going to be adding our magnetic snap just right through the center here, which is going to close that off. So we don't have to worry about it. So I'm marking my center, snoozing my alarm. I'm going to grab my innie portion of my magnetic snap and a washer. I suggest 14 millimeter in the pattern, but I don't have any 14 millimeter at home. So I'm using 18. I think it'll work out. It'll like just fit within the space. And this is a lot to stab through, so just be very careful. We are going through lining, exterior, zipper, etc. So just be careful. It wasn't too bad when it was cork, but this leather is a lot. Oh yeah, that's right. And I added double-sided tape. It's sticking on the tape, so that's where I'm having the issues currently. Okay. We got through it. Okay. All right. Hopefully I don't regret this. Okay. I promise this was not bad with the vinyl and cork, etc. I used the first time. It's just the tape. All right, I'm through on one side, but not the other. Oh, it's because the leather is supposed to be like uncuttable, you know? Okay. I think we got it this time. Okay. So with leather, this part's a little harder, but we did it. Here we go. There we go. Okay. And then you want to very carefully, again, this wasn't so hard with a thinner material. Press that open and go as far down as you can. Here we go. And then you can feel like, okay, now that's definitely closed off. But that is our front panel completed, and then double check that size. It's good. If you want to, you can baste this side together, but we're gonna set that aside. I'm gonna work on my flap really quick. Because I'm just really excited for that. Oh, I need my flap lining pieces. I'm gonna add my zipper pull, we're gonna get our lining attached, and then we're gonna sew this in place. All right, right side's facing up. Add some tape along the top. This lining color is Pale Sage water resistant canvas on my website, and it is just perfect. I love it so much. Okay. Normally I like my zipper tape to be a little bit longer, but I cut it to like exact. Not a big deal. So we're gonna do about a 1/4 of an inch along the top edge. we're going to open this up and top stitch through the zipper tape. And the water resistant canvas. So wrong sides facing up, zipper tape facing up. Okay, and repeating that on the other zipper, on the other part of the zipper. So linings are right sides together, 1/4 inch along the top. And you can see they're off, but that's okay. We're gonna trim that much down later. But again, for me, I can never remember when I'm making it. Like, it's just a lot more effort to keep track of which one goes on the top, which way your zipper's supposed to pull, so it's not the most beginner friendly. Okay, zipper pull to the left. And I'm gonna peel one side of my tape right now. Center and press. I should have about 1 inch on either side, and then repeat, peel that tape off the other side, move your zipper pull. And then just let that set into place. One more snooze. All right, they're open. They're face open right now. We do have some to trim, but it shouldn't be too bad. Normally, I like to have my zipper pull out of the way, but it's all good. I'm gonna zip it. And just try to keep those layers together. Keep your foot from trying to go off the edge. Okay, so that's our zipper pocket. Now we're going to fold this down. And we're going to trim the excess water resistant canvas so that they match. Flip this over, move the flap out of the way, back stitch, and then about 1/4 inch or so around that bottom edge. You can do 2 rows of stitching. Double checking. I do need a quick little second row in this area. Looks so pretty. So we're going to add our magnetic snap to the back side center. About an inch up. All right, and this is where we're going to add the outie portion of our magnet. I'm going to add a little bit of duct tape to the back side of this one. I didn't for the other, but this leather is so stretchy. I put my prongs face in so that they won't wear through later. Oh my gosh, it's so pretty. Okay. Lining up the top edge and then the sides. We're not sewing across the top here. And you want to make sure that your flap lining is not within the seam allowance here. Okay. And this is a 3/8 inch seam allowance. Just going slow. And then we're going to use pinking shears, or you can cut out little triangles within that seam so the whole thing sits nice. Oops. I got distracted. Started going to 1/8 of an inch or 1/4 inch. We'll see if these pinking shears will go through it. You can do the whole thing with the pinking shears, or you can just do the bottom curve. So again, the top is not sewn together. We're gonna flip it. Oh my gosh. Gorgeous. And then we'll roll that seam open and clip so that everything sits as nice as it can. I'm kind of rolling forward and then back. Clip along the top. Make sure your flap lining is down. And then also be careful of your magnetic snap when you're top stitching. The 14mm is definitely out of the way, but this 18, I'm like, ooh, don't do it. Don't hurt me. Okay. I'm going to increase my stitch length just a little bit and then hold my breath while I top stitch. Okay, I'm doing fine over the snap. Nothing happened. And we are going to sew across the top now. And then just be really careful that you're not stretching your layers. Okay. And then we'll get to see what it looks like. Ooh, so pretty. Okay, unfortunately I have to leave it like this right now, but I can't wait. All right, everybody, it's midnight. We're gonna finish this up. I'm gonna attach the base, so that's another piece taken care of, and then I'm going to add my back strap connectors. Ben knocked this over, so it's a mess. Here it is. Okay. Okay. This is going to be another 3/8 inch seam allowance. And these should match up perfectly, and you're going to do a 3/8 inch seam allowance. And I'm going to press this down. This is totally optional. You don't have to top stitch it if you don't want to. But I am going to top stitch through all layers. Oh, I forgot this wasn't like attached. Alrighty. So now we'll set this aside. Okay. So this is the bottom, this is the top. I'm gonna start with the bottom. And we're going to be making our hidden strap connectors. This is gonna be 2.5 in, 2.5 up is where we're going to start that. So we're gonna make a 1 inch line. So 2.5. So my ruler is on the edge and I count 1, 2, half, and I make a 1 inch line. And then we can measure 1/4 inch up from that, make a 3/4 inch mark. and then measure out that trapezoid. You can absolutely use a hidden strap connector tool. I just wanted it to be, if you didn't have that, you would be able to do it, no problem. So do not cut across the 1-inch line. You're only going to cut across the top left and right. You can use the seam ripper to get it started. I'm just using these Kai scissors. They are super, super sharp. Okay. So we've got that marked out. Everything is looking good. We want 2 strap connectors. And I'm going to top stitch these at 3/8 of an inch on either side. If you want to top stitch this a little differently, you absolutely can. Because you're not going to be top stitching it again. But I think the 3/8 will look nice. If you want to add 3/8 and 1/4, you absolutely can. If you decide you want like a 3/4 inch hardware instead of 1 inch, you could also do that. Just adjust your measurements. So we want the wrong side facing up of that strap connector, and we're going to slide that down. So here's my fold. Slide that down. And you could line it up to the top edge of that connector. You really don't have to be picky about how you do it. You just want to make sure that you have plenty to tuck back in. Okay, so now I'm going to top stitch right above the flap. And you can add 2 rows of stitching if you want, or just back stitch really well. I go about 1/8 of an inch from the edge in to 1/8 of an inch from the edge on the other side. That way you don't see those stitches. Trim those threads. Okay, and then we're going to take 2 of our square rings. You could also use D-rings, triangle rings, if you'd prefer. We're going to push this and the flap back through. Pull that all down as tight as you can. And I'm folding the fabric out of the way. And you're going to sew as close to that pen line as you can. Pulling that down. Back stitch quite a bit. We've got that secured. And then you can also add a rivet. I don't think I'm going to add a rivet. I think it'll be nice and clean without it. And I know my stitches are going to be secure. Pull that down. You could also top stitch here if you want, but this is definitely nice and secure. You've got the weight distributed in 2 separate places. The weight of your stitching up here and down there. If you want to, you could even just rivet through these for a little extra strength, but I don't know if it's going to do a ton. So yeah. It's so pretty. Okay, now we're going to do the top strap connectors, which are going to be sewn on. If you don't want to see your connectors, you can do the same method throughout the entire bag. If you're making the handbag version, you do not need to add those. This is only for the backpack version. Okay. I'm folding these in. If you're making the handbag version or you want to add the D-ring connectors to the side, you're going to be doing this 6 times, the folding and top stitching. Add some tape to the back. Don't need a ton. And then this is where other 2 triangle rings are going to come in handy. Fold this down and fold this up. And then you can use thicker tape if you prefer, but if you want to use smaller tape to keep it out of your seam allowance, couldn't hurt. So now, since this is our top edge, I like to use 2 rulers for this, just so I can get it in place perfectly. I'm going to line this one up 4 inches from the side and 1.5 from the top. So right here, this creates my perfect little template to lay the top edge of the connector in. And press that down. So because I'm worried this might shift, I'm gonna just top stitch this one down first, starting at the top edge of the connector. And we're sticking to 1/8 of an inch. I'm just going really slow to make sure I line up my corners. All right, so pretty. So again, do a little 4-inch, 1.5 inch. And there is my perfect template. So if you feel like your connectors are always a little crooked, this can definitely help. And I'm just pressing it up against the side and to the top so it's in place. And then after this is attached, we're gonna baste our flap onto the back, which this is the back. I still need to add a nameplate onto the front as well. Just double checking the back, still centered. You can also measure, it should just be an 8-inch ruler in. Okay. So we're gonna line up the center and you're gonna baste this or stay stitch with the 1/8 inch seam allowance. Magnet face up, because imagine when the bag is done, you flip your flap over. Flip your flap. Nameplate, I'm using antique. And you want to add this to the bottom centered. Perfect. This is a 12-inch ruler I'm using, so I'll just line that up there. I feel like I didn't used to do that. I don't know. Do not stab through your lining fabric this time. Beautiful. And again, you can tape on the back of that if you want. I think it'll be okay. And we're gonna add our bottom, the base. I'm sorry, it's the base. And then 3/8. And we'll open this to top stitch. So now we're putting everything right sides together. Make sure you take care to line up all of those seams, because because if things are a little off in other places, it can be okay, but in those seams, it's not great. And this should line up with the top edge above your zipper tab. Phew. Okay. And this is, again, 3/8 of an inch. And then something that can be helpful when you're putting the bag together is to just snip the center of your base while it's kind of folded this way. It'll just help you line up the center perfectly. Make sure you're catching your lining on the sides here. If you are worried about the bulk that pocket might add for your machine, you could always sew it together on the sides and trim it a little bit shorter. And you don't have to trim down any of this. Something I had considered was making it long enough to be caught in that base so that the bag tugs a little differently. So you could always add like a scrap of a thinner fabric to attach to these and attach to the seam. It might be kind of cool. Okay, and then we're going to bring the side seam together, lay it flat. And you're just gonna sew from end to end along that base with a 3/8. And you are welcome to trim any of these down that you'd like, but it's not necessary, in my opinion. You do you. And unfortunately, you're just gonna leave this wrong side out, like ready to turn it and be done in a good way. So yeah, that's that. If you're making the handbag version or want to add crossbody strap connectors, this is where you would do it. You'd press this flat, measure 1.5 inch down, and sew that there and there at the top. But I'm gonna set this aside for now and we'll work on the lining. Forgot to make my handle, so we're gonna do that. You can choose to make your grab handle a little bit smaller if you choose for the backpack version. But I felt like this was really complementary to the size of the bag. And you are welcome to do any kind of handle you'd like. If you want to do a thicker grab handle or handle in general for your bag, you can cut it twice as big. So that's like the regular trifold, 1, 2, 3, 4-fold. But we're gonna top stitch this at 3/8. And then at this point, you can trim this straight if there's any spot that isn't. We're gonna measure 3 inches in from either side, wrong side, and just make a little tick. And then you don't have to use tape if you don't want to, but I'm just like, help me hold that together. Peel that. And fold it in half, lining up those marks. And depending on your material for your handle, is going to depend on how thick your handle is, of course. Like this leather, probably could have skived it for this kind of a handle, but I like the thickness of it. And we're going to start at that 3-inch line, right at 1/8 of an inch from the edge. And then you can pull your threads through and tie off, or just backstitch. Okay. So that is the grab handle ready to go. So pretty. That's gonna get folded up. So yeah, I think that's a nice size for me. I'm gonna set that over with my other handle, and then we'll get started. I'll do my zipper pocket. It's kind of mindless and out of the way. So we've got our main lining here, and you can do a regular zipper pocket. You don't have to do the overlay if you don't want to. It's going to go 2.5 inches down from the top edge. You can decide which is top, which is bottom. We're going to center that. And I'm just letting the vinyl, well, my material sit. Don't try to pull it and stretch it. Same with this bottom side. And just let it sit. I have these super cute labels from Sarah Hart's. Say made by me. The colors are kind of similar. Love it. Okay. Starting in the corner. Oof, I should not be this tired for top stitching, but it's okay. And so we're going to cut away the excess fabric, making a slit and then trimming from the back, only through the fabric. Careful. Got a little too choppy there. I prefer to slide for that reason. Good. So now I'm gonna set that to the side for now. And I made the zipper pocket lining a square on purpose. I just thought it would be nice to not have to worry about which way it's supposed to go. So we're gonna start with the lining pocket right side up, zipper right side up, 1/4 inch or so. I usually like to make my zipper tape a little bit longer, but I just cut it by hand, like by eye, so it's right at. I'm folding that flat and I'm top stitching. This is kind of optional if your materials press well. You don't have to do this. I just feel like it sits better. So the wrong side is face up and my zipper is face up. Wrong. But that's okay because you're unzipping and looking inside, and there's the right side. So right side should be touching for your lining, and we're lining up that raw edge up here, that unsewn edge. So now, I like having my zipper pull to the left, but you can decide whichever way you choose. Press that. If you are worried that your zipper pull is going to come off, you can add a clip, or I'm gonna do it, just why not? Just add a couple of rows of stitches to the very end. And it can't go anywhere. Hopefully. Okay, we're gonna peel just the top edge first. Standing up helps, and center that. Making sure your lining and your overlay line up, because the overlay is the same width as your lining. Folding my lining up and out of the way. And then lay that flat. It's not perfectly lined up, so you can readjust if you need to, but it's really important not to stretch out all those layers. All right, and then we're gonna start on this side and make sure that your foot doesn't jump off your fabrics. Kind of hold consistent. And we'll pivot, come down this side. Pivot again, and then I'm going to get pretty close to the edge, leave my needle in, and zip my zipper pulled back through this just prevents any waving zippers. And then we're going to close that opening. Needle in, pivot. And if you can reach your starting threads, you could pull them to the back. Like a thread that won't go to its place. Where is it though? Did I get it? Yeah, we got it. Okay. Okay, so you can tie those off to make sure nothing comes undone. And so yeah, there's tons of different ways to make a zipper pocket. So if you have a preference, please follow yours. Like, I want you to enjoy making the bag. All right, we're gonna trim off that excess. And just like with the flap of the zipper pocket, yes, you could cut those a little differently so you don't have to trim excess, but I just find it's so much effort to like keep track of which way goes which. So you do you. All right, so I'm folding up the bottom edge by about 1/2 inch, and I'm gonna sew up and over my zipper tape. And then repeat on this side, going from the opposite direction. And when I get here, I'm gonna make sure all that's folded evenly. And then you can trim your excess in the corner and your thread. Okay. And there's that zipper pocket. I've already marked my center at the top. We can add the base to the bag really quick. And then this is a 3/8 inch seam allowance. Keep your lining out of the way, your lining zipper pocket. I like the look of the bottom top stitched, but you do not have to if you don't want to. You're just gonna press that down, top stitch. And then if you wanna add more pockets to this bag, it's kind of written simply, but you can always add more, whatever kind of pockets you'd like. Oh, it's just shadow. I was like, why does that look weird? We're gonna set that aside for now. We're gonna add our zipper panel. For the top zipper, you're gonna be squaring that off whatever method you prefer. I like to use a lighter, and I'll just fold under and over my nail. So I'm pinching it in one area. You can sew it together, you could whip stitch it, you could use glue, double-sided tape. Just kind of melting it. You just want to get it kind of going, melting, and then you're good. Repeat that on the other side. And if you need to melt it quite a bit, you can use your lighter, if it's not a fancy one, to like help you keep it from lifting. So that's good. All right, we're gonna find the wrong side of all of these pieces. Okay. 1 inch. And we're going to be folding this to meet. The 1 inch line. You can use any size tape to fold to that line. Just use one according to your materials that's going to hold, or you can iron. If you prefer a one-piece zipper panel that kind of folds on itself, you can do the math and make it that way. Not a big deal. And this is going to be a 3/8 inch to a 1/4 inch, like whatever your machine is capable of. And I just pull all that apart. We're going to start with 2 of them. I'm not using a printed fabric, and I'm using the same fabric for the top and bottom, so it doesn't matter at all. We're just going to add double-sided tape to all of that. So we're going to start with 2 of them, and this would be an exterior. If you decided to make it a print, this one would be your exterior print, the one you want to see. And you're going to lay your zipper tape face down, lining it up about 1/4 inch from that folded edge. If you decided not to use tape, stitch that into place. Otherwise, this is now your quote-unquote lining of it. And lay that down. Right sides together over that zipper tape. If your pieces don't line up, you can adjust it. And I'm going to start at 1/8 of an inch from that folded edge and continue with a 3/8. Okay. And then we're going to press this open. Pressing, clipping together, and we're going to sew around that on all 4 sides. I like to start at this top corner. And then across here. Okay. Okay. We're going to line up the side edge. Line that up. Three-eighths of an inch. Press that. I don't know if I've made a zipper panel with all the water resistant canvas, but it feels nice. Like it's still structured, but it's super thin. Panel complete. I'm going to just do a couple stitches down the teeth down here so it doesn't go anywhere. And then we're going to fold this in half. And then we'll add the zipper panel to the side with the zipper pocket and baste. My friend Brittany, who tested, said that she would have preferred to sew the zipper panel or the top lining on at 1/4 of an inch. There is room within the size of the pieces to do that and it would still fit, but it is written to be 3/8, so it's totally up to you. She just said it made it harder to top stitch with that zipper panel kind of flipping up. We're gonna top stitch under. The reason I'm not folding this up is this seam allowance would then be in your top seam. So we're gonna push it down into the lining and we're gonna top stitch under. Pressing that open. There you go. And then no pocket on this lining piece means we're almost done. So right sides together on that lining. The zipper is face up. Oh, hello, bobbin. All right, and now we're gonna add that lining top, making sure wrong side face up, but the right side is down, so right sides are together. And then 3/8. And then press up. All right. Last thing we need to do before we can put everything together is we're going to unzip our zipper. That's why I added a couple stitches. And we're going to put right sides together along the bottom. 3/8 inch again. And again, you don't have to top stitch this if you don't want to, but it does look really nice. And so we're gonna press that under. All right. So everything's right sides together. I probably should have checked that, but yeah, we're good. Okay, right sides together, lining up that top seam. .3/8 inch. If you really want to, you could try to slightly increase the seam allowance for the lining. It's just, I don't think it's necessary, because I'm worried then the bottom won't fit quite right. Stick that zipper in there. Poor guy. And then we're going to square the bottom. I did not mark the center for this one, but you could, like we did on the exterior. And we're pressing flat and opening up that side seam. And 3/8. All right, so you can see how that zipper panel sits. And now we're going to turn this right side out. Zipper panel or zipper pocket open. We're going to press this down as best we can. Our zipper panel. And this is going to go inside the bag with the zipper pocket to the back. Lining up those top side seams. And I'm pressing them open. So clipping everything together across the top. Okay. And I can feel my zipper panel is pressed down. All right, got that, and it's a 3/8 inch seam allowance, and just be careful these layers don't shift, because 3/8 is not much wiggle room. It's a little bit of wiggle room, but not a ton. Okay. And I don't trim this seam allowance down, but if you really want to, you can. Now we're going to turn the bag. I'm so excited. I'm tired, but I'm excited. So I'm pulling my lining and my exterior separate, and we're going to start with what's furthest away from the bag. So I'm pushing the exterior out and pulling on it, and now exterior is pretty out. If you used a lot of structure in this bag, you can leave your bottom open and then finish it off, but you can't really top stitch the base that way. We're gonna press all that into place. Push out those corners. Ugh, so good. I'm so excited. So you don't have to close this yet. You could top stitch, etc., and then decide to do that, but go ahead and close that up. The lining down inside. Push the lining pocket in. I just love these colors together. All right, and the lining is gonna get tucked down in to the bag. We're gonna roll the seam, clip it all together. And this is where I really like to press the lining in, make sure everything sits nicely. My lining shifted a little bit inside the bag, so I'm a little worried. I think my leather just stretched a bit, but okay, we're still good. Yeah, we're still good. Oh my God, it's so pretty. All right, so now we're gonna top stitch. I'm gonna start on the back. Like this. You can do wrong side, lining side up, or whichever way you want. I'm doing it with exterior side up. I just would rather my top stitching out here look good. Just make sure that your zipper panel is pointing down as you're doing this. We've top stitched it so that it'll want to stick up. So we have to tell it to do the opposite, and it's like, I don't want to. Okay. Okay, still pressing down into the bag. I'm pulling my threads to the back. Alrighty. And then we still need to add our zipper end, attach the strap and the handle. You can trim your zipper tape down a little bit more if you like. Oh, there it is. I'm gonna add some glue into this. That's a nice little squeezy tip. So I knew that this bag would not have a ton of structure, but I didn't want it to. But I really like the slouch so far. Okay. Oh, sorry. Okay. The zipper end is attached. Grab our handle. So this gets attached here. And you can sew this down if you prefer, or you can rivet it. I love it so much. It's such a precious little thing. And then the way this strap works is a little unconventional, but I don't think it's bad. I'm going to loosen this a little bit. But basically, we're gonna tie it to the strap. Kind of knot it like this in the center. And that keeps it from sliding around. And then we're gonna clip this to the bottom. You can also choose to make 2 separate straps. I just didn't want to, for the project box this was created for, have extra hardware people may not use. But that is how that works. Super cute. So I'm gonna go ahead and add those rivets, and then I'll give you a little tour of the bag. So here is what it looks like on. You can shorten the strap, of course, and kind of readjust it, but it's a fun, like, slouchy bag with the materials I've chosen, but you can use materials that are a little more structured, add some interfacing. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed making this starter bag with me. I absolutely love this pattern. I'm gonna go to bed, and I'll see you later. Bye.